Hey, good morning and welcome back to the Homestead. Thanks for joining me this morning. We have not forgotten about the garden tower project that we're working on. We're still waiting for our seedlings to be a little bit bigger. But I wanted to talk today about something that's been going on here in East Texas. What we're experiencing is something that we all need to be aware of as homesteaders, as forestry people that care for the land that we own. So what's happened here is, you can see, may be able to see here in front of me, we have quite a few sassafras trees, and we love the sassafras trees. They're an understory tree, beautiful most of the time, but we are experiencing that all of these are dying. So as I'm going through the woods or I'm working out in the forest out here, I'm always paying attention to the wildlife, what's going on with the trees. And as good stewards of the land that God's given us, we should certainly all be doing that. So what I've noticed is lots of our sassafras trees were dying. So at first I couldn't figure it out. I don't know why why would just target these. All other trees seem to be thriving and healthy. So I know we've been in a drought, so I wondered if it was water stress. But a little more research I found that this was not water stress. This is insect damage, and this is caused by an invasive species called an ambrosia beetle. And the ambrosia beetle bores little holes into a tree, and these little tiny beetles then farm a fungus inside the tree that stops the vascular circulation system in the tree and kills it. My research so far is showing that it's fatal to the tree. There's not any real good way to cure it or get rid of it. So what we've decided to do is, when we find infected trees like this one right here, I'll show you more about it in just a second, is I choose to take these down, chip them, or burn them. So I wanted to get rid of as many of these diseased sassafras trees as I can and see if we can help stop the spread of these beetles that are causing the damage. So let me bring you a little bit closer, and I'm going to show you kind of what this looks like on the trees. Hopefully this will show up on the camera, but this is a sassafras tree, and it looks like it is just completely withered and died. So right next to it is another one that still has quite a bit of green, but there are some leaves up there that are showing signs of damage, and even down here. So we still have a lot of greenery in that one, but these leaves begin to look like they're drying up and curling up, and in just a few weeks or so they're going to look like this. They're going to be completely dead and dried out. And so what I do when I look at these, just again, I want to make sure I'm not taking down trees I don't need to. But on these, there are these little tiny boreholes. Hopefully you can see there's one here. And these beetles bore into the tree. And again, they're kind of a farmer. They create this fungus that kills them. So just take a look at yours. If you have sassafras trees in the southeast United States, or if you're in East Texas and you have sassafras trees, keep an eye out for this and do what you can to help get rid of it. So here's another example of a sassafras tree. It's growing as an understory around these other trees, and there's an even bigger one. That tree is probably 20-25 feet tall, and these two look pretty healthy. There's a few scarred leaves or deteriorating leaves, and I'm going to do a little more research. They have a few spots on some of the leaves, but there's a couple healthy specimens out here as well. And this also needs to be cleaned up. I've got some Yopan holly that has died and fallen against that, so I want to get that cleaned up. Then we always have our oddball trees. So look at this guy. We call this the scoliosis tree. So he has this very bent trunk there, but then goes up, and that's a beautiful tree showing very little signs of damage. So there's one that's highly affected right there back in the woods. We have this sassafras tree that all the leaves on it have died. They're wilted. So that tree needs to be removed. You can see right over here, you see the one that is turning reddish yellow. It is not fall. This is the heat of summer. So there's one there that is affected. And then there's a really nice tall one over here that's also affected. So you can see the yellowing, the discoloration in those leaves. So this is all a result of the ambrosia beetle causing this laurel wilt disease. There's a few, if I step back here just a little bit more, you can see these younger, smaller sapling types that are here. They have quite a bit of damage as well. So in this little grove right here, we've been working to clean this up. We've done some prescribed burning in this area to clean stuff up a few months ago. But the chips, I'm chipping up the trees that I cut down. So the laurel wilt is not curable as far as I can find out, and it will kill the tree. So rather than that go to waste, we're chipping it, and the large pieces that my chipper will only handle like up to 6-inch logs. Anything bigger than that, I've got a burn pile that those go to. But I've also been told that the wood chips, once they're chipped, it is safe to use for mulch around your other plants and things. So this laurel wilt caused by the ambrosia beetle is really only affecting plants in the laurel family, and sassafras is in that family. So there are, I think there were 8 in this little section behind me here that I have cut down. I've got one more really large one that I'll show you in just a second that I'll be taking down, and it is heavily damaged. Now I have one small one that I left, and I'll show you why. Here's one of the large ones I cut down and the smaller one next to it. And then there's this larger one right here. You can follow this tree up and look up there. It may be hard to see here in the light and the sun, but it is completely gone. It's right next to an oak tree, so that green you see up there is all from this oak tree, which is not affected by the laurel wilt. So I cut these off, cut them down, mulched it so we can use the wood and continue to make that useful. So try again here, see if I see any of the little bore holes. Don't really see the bore holes in that one, but it is obviously the same thing. This tree was surrounded by, there were 4 or 5 smaller ones, kind of like this one, that were here, and this one was still completely green the other day, and it may have to end up having to come down. But if it looks like it is surviving, I'm going to leave it until it's actually killed or it's actually dead. But I am beginning to see this one that I left. You can see the damage here. You see the discoloration in leaves in several places. Some that are already completely dead. So this one probably won't be saved either. So more of these are going to have to come down. I don't know if you can see, but back through these woods here as well. There are some right back in there that are also heavily damaged. This one saving news, let's see if I can find it, is on a few of these. Let me see if I can find one of them I cut down. The tree was dead. Let me find it and I'll come back with you. Well, I apologize. I can't find which stump this was. But what I was going to show you was around a couple of the trees that I cut down, and I can't seem to find right now, they were actually coming back from the root. There were little shoots coming up from the root base around the tree that I cut down. So I've left those, so we'll see if those will actually come back. So just a public service message from me to you. If you're a homesteader, you live out in the woods, you own some land, keep an eye on your forest. If you discover a particular species or something happening that's dying off, try to find out why and what can be done about that. So we just need to be good stewards of our land. God has entrusted us with the land. We need to do the best we can with it. We can't always control these invasive species and things that come out and end up causing damage to our homesteads and to our property. There are 2 videos we've watched the last few days. One is from Ruth Ann Zimmerman, and another one is from Three Rivers Homestead. They're dealing with a totally different issue, but they're having pesticide drift that's causing damages to their gardens, their trees, and their plants because they live close to conventional ag places. So I encourage you to watch those 2 videos. Again, it's Ruth Ann Zimmerman and Three Rivers Homestead. The reason is they have 2 different attitudes, I guess, towards how they're dealing with that situation, and there's merit to both of those. But when these kind of things happen to our property, I think we just need to be aware and make good decisions. Find the joy in the situation. Try to make a positive outcome if we can, but deal with the problem effectively. So thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, ring that notification bell, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye-bye.